Hello, mate. This episode we're talking to Owen Jones from the fantastic Upshot Design down in Plymouth. Owen talks to us about how he used to sketch football kits as a kid, and now he has built a brand agency that does amazing work and has recently done some for building brands. We talk about that too in the podcast. Let's get straight into the fast-growing tradition of me looking at the guest's profile on LinkedIn, and Owen is our guest, and on LinkedIn he describes himself as a founder and creative director of Upshot. He and I have amazingly 95 mutual connections, which is amazing because we didn't really meet until about February of this year. In his bio, he describes himself as an experience. He describes himself as an experience. Well, having met the man, I can tell you that's true. In his bio, he describes himself as being experienced, inquisitive, creative, and a thoughtful designer and creative leader. He loves a great witty idea, a thoughtful copy-led campaign, a tactile print finish, and immaculate typography. But even more than these, he loves seeing design make a real difference in the lives of people who themselves make a difference. I agree with him on the tactile print finish. Oh, I am a sucker for a textured piece of paper or card. I love that. I don't mind a little bit of embossing, or whatever the reverse of embossing is called. I don't know. Pop it in the comments below if you know what the reverse of embossing is called. Let's look at Upshot Design. I've decided now that actually, rather than reading out what the company says about itself on LinkedIn, I'm going to read their meta description when I search for them. When I search for Upshot Design, Owen's design company, it says that it is a creative agency specialising in brand and communication design for big thinkers, change makers, and local heroes. That's it. I'll be back in the middle for a quick advert, and at the end to round up some stuff. But let's get to it and say hello to Owen. Hello, Owen.
Hi, John.
Thanks for having me to your lovely office.
You're more than welcome. It's lovely to have you here.
It is glorious. We are today in Plymouth.
Sunny Plymouth.
Sunny Plymouth. It's so pretty here right now. And if I do that, Owen can see the sea because it's behind you, but the sea is just there. You're basically got your feet in it.
Yeah.
If you're watching, if you're listening.
You probably don't.
No, you don't. But if you're watching and you're stood behind the camera, you are in the sea right now. And we're here at the offices of Upshot.
Correct.
And yeah, Owen, tell us why you do what you do.
So I'm a creative person. I was always a creative person. I wanted to be a graphic designer. Actually, the first step I had was I wanted to design football kits when I was younger. That was what made me first want to do design. But learned a bit about graphic design, felt like that was a natural job opportunity to use my creativity. But I was at don't know how much of a potted history you want, but I was at university here in Plymouth at the Art College, and learned a few things about it, but it was all very subjective. It was all do what you like a little bit. And I went to Taunton to do a top-up year, and I learned about this amazing thing called ideas.
Right.
Yeah, which I hadn't learned about before. And suddenly this design malarkey became less decorative, more thinking. Uh-huh. And I found that really fascinating, how there was this sector, this industry where this sort of creativity made a difference.
Yeah.
And that's what got me into design. But it stayed quite subjective for me, and I found it quite difficult. And I think I'm a hard worker, not necessarily, my skill isn't in natural talent, it's in hard work and real tenacity, right. Because I was always wanting to be better than I was, and my career has always been a case of little incremental steps and looking back and going, oh wow, that's great. So then I became a freelancer in 2010, and then took on staff over the next 7 or 8 years and became an agency, like an accidental design agency. And Upshot is that. And so
How many of you are there now?
there's 3 of us,
Right.
so 2 full-time and 1 part-time studio manager. And it's a great little team. And we've got mainly branding. Branding is our forte. But we also have website design in-house as well with
Right.
Matt, who's excellent using Webflow. So we use that as a way of bringing people's brands to life online.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. If I can wind us back one bit, do you have a favourite football kit from those days when you thought you wanted to design one?
Oh, now I'm a big Plymouth Argyle fan, so there was some pretty crazy green efforts going on there. There was a few England ones as well.
Yeah.
There was a brilliant. There's some really terrible England goalkeeper kits which I loved.
Yeah.
So David Seaman wearing them in Euro '96, that sort of thing. One which was a bit like a packet of refreshers. That was quite a classic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you remember that?
Yeah, I do. I do.
Yeah, there's been some crackers. So
Yeah. I really like a hooped football kit. Celtic, QPR.
Yeah.
For some reason, I like a hoop.
Queen of the South.
Yeah, yeah.
Classic.
Yeah. Whereas, yeah, you're a pattern man.
Yeah, maybe.
Apparently.
Maybe. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I love that that's how you got into it and how it kind of inspired you to become like a graphic designer. And we've also, while we were getting set up, we were talking about music. Was there a point where you thought, I might be a musician, or was it always about the colouring in?
I think I needed to know my skill set and my ceiling a little bit. So
Right.
the musicianship is purely for hobby.
Right, okay. Okay.
I'm not sure that we're going to be headlining Download anytime soon.
But even a small tent at Download's a big win.
Yeah.
That's cool. So you've got 3 of you here now. One of you doing webs. So what was that journey like from going from just you to having someone else? Who was the first hire?
So I created a relationship with the University of Plymouth and their graphic design typography course. And I'd met some of the students, I'd gone in and done talks there. And just from meeting some people, I ended up just bringing someone in as an intern, come and give him some experience for a day. And he was really into typographic layout. He was really sharp at it. And I thought, actually, we've got a job that really needs that. It was an annual report. We were working for Macmillan Cancer Support a lot at the time. So I just called him and said, do you want to come and do 3 days a week or something? And he did, and then he stayed. And then I had to kind of, employ him.
Had to properly hire him.
Had to hire him properly. And he lasted here for, maybe 4 years, something like that, I think.
Yeah.
And then, we grew by taking on a studio manager part-time, or a studio admin at the time, really.
To keep a hand on all the projects.
Help me to do the stuff that I don't really find myself loving, like the administrative side of things. And so that was someone called Hannah, and then we took on Gemma when Hannah left, and Gemma's here with us now still, and she's really grown into the role as well. So we've got a really good functioning sort of relationship in the team where we can support each other, and it's really good.
It's a really cool way of recruiting, actually. The go and do talks at a university, and then you kind of sound like you had the best guy, or the best person. That's brilliant.
Yeah, it was great, and I still do that now, and I've got someone coming in and doing some internships at the moment. I'm mentoring somebody at the Arts University of Plymouth and at the University of Plymouth as well.
Yeah, cool. So, that's really cool.
Yeah,
which is something corporates can't do as easily.
Yeah,
that's quite a nice little that's bobbing and weaving as a small agency.
Definitely,
that corporates can't do.
Yeah, I love it.
Nice. Okay, so we've got the why. How do you do it differently to others?
That's been an ongoing process, I think, because like I said, I was a graphic designer. I wanted to design logos and that sort of thing. But I felt like it was, and I said it before, it was a bit too subjective. Unless you really get stuck into a client and understand where they come from, your logos are going to be fairly generic, I felt. And I wanted more direction and opportunity for better ideas. So I got more interested in brand strategy. And over the last probably 5 or 6 years, we've been building the way we do that. And we've been doing quite a lot of work on that kind of message and what that looks like at the moment. But the gist of it is, we see brand as identity. Like, as a person, who are they? What are they like? What qualities do they possess? What makes them unique or remarkable? And I've got this little diagram that I use, which is ABC. So A is what you stand for, and that inspires how you act, how you communicate, what you do. And that B leads people to have a particular opinion about you, which in theory should match A, right? So there's a famous quote from Jeff Bezos that says, your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. And I think a lot of people misunderstand that to think you're not in control of your brand. It means other people form your brand. And I just think branding is the process of helping shape what that opinion is, so that you're consistently, authentically, distinctively acting as yourself, so that by the time it gets to C, people recognise who you are, what you're all about, and why you're unique and why you're special. So that's our job, really, is distilling that and understanding it and articulating it in a way that companies or charities can really see themselves in it, which gives us a much better brief to create much better visuals, better design, better systems for design, rather than decorative applications.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really it. I think what we've really discovered is that I think if someone wants to market and grow and create impact, they're throwing their money away if they haven't really understood the base foundation first. And so we try, and the phrasing that we're using is that they need unshakable confidence in their identity.
Oh.
Yeah, I know, it's good.
That's really good.
Unshakable confidence in your identity allows you to do so much more.
Yeah.
So what is your identity? And then build from that.
Yeah.
So it comes into marketing, it comes into design, it comes into websites, comes into social media. All of those things will stem back to that unshakable confidence in your identity, and it means you can flourish and grow.
Yeah, and as someone from a sales background, and increasingly service, that unshakable confidence in your identity, that unshakable confidence in your identity needs to be with everybody in the business who's customer facing.
Absolutely.
I mean, the bigger it gets, the more difficult that becomes, but it's got to be with everybody who's customer facing. And it makes it so much easier for salespeople. And I know this isn't where you were necessarily going.
Yeah, it is.
But from a sales perspective, I love that, because it's so much easier to then weed out the people who are coming through the buying process who aren't the right. We can't help them as well as we can help these people, because we are unshakable in our confidence about our identity.
Yeah. It definitely impacts sales, but it impacts culture as well. So when you're recruiting, are you recruiting the right people? Now, that's not our area of expertise, but if we've given somebody the process to get to the point where they have unshakable confidence in their identity, that's where they can take it and go and do those things. So we've got to be careful that we don't start talking about an unshakable identity, because we're not saying that, but we want you to have that confidence in it. So you being the client. So yeah, there's a lot that goes into that process-wise, but a lot of it's to do with values and how people express and articulate their values, and how that turns into, a really articulate brand.
This podcast is brought to you by nobody, because it doesn't have a sponsor yet. But if you'd like to be a sponsor and get in front of our over 100 subscribers, which isn't bad because it's only been live about a week, more than that, if you'd like to get in front of our 1,500 people mailing list, the 1,000 people who attend our events every year, and about the 7,000 people that we have following us on LinkedIn, well, maybe you do want a sponsor, and if you do, my details are down below. I'd like to introduce you to my friend Chris, and he and you and I can have a chat about how much we'll take off of you to get the eyeballs and earballs of our listener subscribership to hear from your company selling the stuff that you want to sell. There's probably better pictures out there from other podcasters, sure, but are they as good looking? Yes, they are. In absence of a genuine sponsor, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about another wonderful podcast. It's called the 5 Star Podcast. In fact, it's one of many called the 5 Star Podcast. I didn't think it through. It's called the 5 Star Podcast. Its host is Charlie Hunt, the amazing fractional operations and finance director from Bristol, and me. And we find businesses with bad Google reviews, and we read out the bad reviews, and we give the businesses some unsolicited business advice, and we give the reviewers life coaching, because quite often they're very, very troubled people as far as we can make out. Fair warning, it is rude, and listener and viewer discretion is advised. Although it's not rude visually, we keep our clothes on. God knows people want us to take them off, but we won't for any money. Anyway, the link to that podcast is below, but just imagine it could be the link to the product or service that you sell if you're a sponsor. As I say, get in touch if that's you. Otherwise, and if you like a bit of filth, go and listen to the 5 Star Podcast. Okay, back to Owen. I think we're going to talk about the Building Brands rebrand now, aren't we? We'll find out from future John.
By the time this goes out, we'll have launched the Building Brands rebrand.
Yes.
Which you must comment on below and let us know what you think. And so we went through your process.
Yeah.
And I've been through a few branding processes, and lots of the ones that I've been through have that question and answer thing that we kind of went through with you.
Yeah.
And to be perfectly honest with you, when we first started, I was thinking, here we go. Yeah, the same old.
Yeah.
And then they'll be like, oh, we'll just make it more blue.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. You know?
Change the colours.
Yeah, exactly. But the same
font.
as you've currently got, but I'll put it in a star rather than a circle.
Right.
And I wasn't quite waiting for that, because you were much more engaging than most people I've spoken to about brand. But then as you were like 20 minutes in, it was like, oh, we're having to have quite difficult conversations as the leadership team about what the values of the person that would be building brands is, which was really good. We all thought we were super aligned, and then we start talking to you and we're like, oh no, we're actually not that. We were convinced we were that. It's really, so it's an extraordinary process, and it's really, I think, certainly for building brands, and certainly looking at your other portfolio of work, it works really well.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess, why you're still here, right?
Yeah.
And people are still buying you.
Hope so, yeah, definitely.
So we've got that why, we've got that how do you do it differently. So if you think back to Owen starting out, and we're going from Plymouth art school, university art school or whatever, and then feeling like it wasn't quite enough, and then because it feels to me like if you're at a university and then you go to Taunton to do something else, that feels like that might have certainly feel like a step down. Sorry, Taunton, but it's not a university, is it? It's like you're doing something else.
Yeah.
And then you start this agency. What would you tell young Owen?
That move was interesting, because it was a tutor from Plymouth that I'd had that was moving to this college in Taunton that was doing this degree, and he sort of told me a bit about it. And when I got there, I was joining in the other people's third year.
Yeah.
Some of the people that have gone through that course have gone on to set up brilliant agencies around the country. That it's a really renowned course, not going anymore, but I learned so much in 1 year there about design, about ideas, about the industry, about being industry ready. But it also lit a fire of motivation under me, because I was we would have crits where our work was on the wall, and it would be no mercy. If your ideas weren't up to scratch, it was ripped down pretty unceremoniously. So
wow.
It really lit a fire underneath me to get me excited. And I think I wasn't necessarily ready for that when I came from Plymouth. It took me by surprise a little bit. And like I said, like, it didn't come naturally. I had to really get my head into it and work hard. And I still do. I don't often sit down and solve things first time. I have to really think about it, which is why I have this process, because it makes things more objective, less subjective, make it more, you can take a client along that journey of an idea, so that when they're presented with some design ideas, they don't go, well, where the heck's that come from? So, sorry, the question though was, what would I tell young Owen?
Yeah. Other than maybe support a different team to Plymouth Argyle, because it's going to be
very dare you.
it's going to be a lifetime of heartbreak.
It is. Yeah, I mean, there's probably an analogy about that in my journey, isn't there? About when the good times come, it's worth all the hard work of going through it. But I don't know. I think every step in the way, and maybe it's just confidence. Have a bit more confidence in yourself. I get a lot of the imposter syndrome of, I've never worked in a big agency in London, and how can I tell everyone that I'm a specialist or expert at certain thing if I haven't done this or that? And I think I'm learning over time that that's not the key thing. It's having confidence in what you do. But my career has been little steps where something has happened, and it's only when you look back and you realise you've gone up 3 steps without really realising it.
Yeah.
Just things, circumstances changing, coincidences perhaps that happen, and I had to learn pretty quickly to roll with those and just go with it. Like taking somebody on when I wasn't really ready to. It kind of just happened because the opportunity came up, and I don't regret it for a second. So yeah. In terms of advice, though, I don't know. What would you tell yourself, your younger self?
Stop playing with it. No. I wonder if I can put that out. Yeah, I'll put it out. What would I tell my younger self? I would probably tell my younger self that actually, because I didn't have this problem. It's funny, all 3 people that we've done so far on the podcast haven't expressed it as confidence like you have, but Jay said something about, hers was look up, because she felt that she was pushed down by a glass ceiling, or held back by a glass ceiling, and then she realised actually, while it is there is a societal thing there, obviously. Actually, she could just smash through it. And Joyanne was saying, well, I should have done stuff faster. I should have believed in myself. And you've talked about having confidence. My problem is I've got the confidence. So, like, I'm a 55-year-old white guy. I think I was born this confident. Actually, I wasn't. 16 years old, I decided I was going to be really confident. But I think the thing I tell myself at the beginning of my career is, confidence doesn't mean you have to be a prick. Yeah. I was a real prick from when I was about 22 to about 25. And I apologise to everybody I knew then. I can't believe my dad still talks to me. I mean, it could have been until I was 35 when I met my wife. Yeah. But yeah, confidence doesn't mean being a prick, John. Yeah. Because I think I'm probably all right. I used to forget that and think, well, I've got to be, all about how great I am and how much money I make. And that's just bullshit.
Yeah. I think some of the things that held me back when I was a younger designer probably were the trend things and being so fussed about trends and how, like, Comic Sans was never really the enemy here.
Yeah.
Don't compete in a world where it's all about, like, oh, this font, that font, this color combination, the trends of it all. Yeah. Maybe that's something that I started with and have grown out of, but I think that all just comes with experience as much as anything. Yeah. And so I'm not sure that I really begrudge young Owen having a T-shirt that said "Ban Comic Sans."
No,
he needed to go through that phase.
Yeah. Also, it was cool when he had it on.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And you could, as a designer, you could say, hey, I'm wearing this ironically. I actually use Comic Sans quite a lot in my work, should you have wanted to. I love it, love it. So be more confident, and okay. So from a design perspective, don't necessarily embrace all of the trends. I suppose you have to stay aware of them though.
Oh yeah,
otherwise-
I think I've got more aware of the design industry as I've got older and got more experience as well, because I've constantly been looking at what's put out there, and that guides your process. That guides your kind of. It raises the ceiling of what you expect from a branding project, and it raises my expectations of myself.
Yeah.
That I want to say, well, we're creating things that are of that standard. That's what I want to be doing. So, yeah, it's not a trend thing though. It's more of a it being right.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's less subjective. It's more objective. It's like we've gone through the process, the creative process, the strategic process, and it's right. And and that's where I want to be. That's not to say it's the only way, but it's right. We know why it exists, and yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love your process is lovely. It's a joy to be on the other side of. Partially, I suspect, because you're a nice man to be around. But the results for building brands have been great. And as I say, for all the portfolio of work I've seen you do, I'm always like, wow, that is glorious. I think we've covered everything off. So before we finish up, where can people find you online?
I believe the best place to find us online is upshotdesign.co.uk.
Right.
That's the best place. You get all our case studies and everything, and our Instagram, which we post on infrequently but need to improve that.
Right.
Is Design by Upshot.
Right.
And then they can connect with me on LinkedIn as well. So,
Okay. We'll put some links in the down below or up
Yeah,
above.
I think
I'm
it's
not
down.
quite
Yeah.
Yeah, let's say down below.
Yeah.
You're
'Cause
the
it's
younger
fun.
man. You know where these go.
A whippersnapper.
Yeah. Oh, great. I'll tell you what I've got is my camera has frozen. But that's okay, because that one's still working. It's frozen, but not only just recently. So we're good. Well, Owen, thank you so much for doing this.
Massive pleasure.
It's been a real. I'm so delighted I came to Plymouth on such a lovely day.
Yeah.
So great to meet you properly.
Always like this. You know what you're talking about.
Okay, I believe you. It's been really a real pleasure to meet you properly as well. Thank you.
You too. Thank you very much.
Lovely Owen Jones, a man so humble he forgot to promote his own book on a podcast. It's called Valuable Values. I'm such a shitty podcast host that I forgot to remind him to plug it. I've read a sample of it. It's really good. The launch is this Thursday, and we're in the 1st of June 2025. So if you're listening to this as soon as it comes out, it's probably not available on Amazon yet, but you can pre-order it at the Upshot Design website. The link is below. And from what I can gain from the small introduction that I've read before I get my hands on it this Thursday, it's all about the process of creating that belief in your brand and understanding what's valuable about it. On its own, it's not going to solve every business problem, but it'll definitely give you a solid foundation. It will help you understand the value in your brand. It will help you align your brand with your customers. It won't solve every problem, but it's probably going to solve some of the challenges you're facing at the moment. And most importantly, it will help you think about your business differently. And that's really useful for anybody in business. So yeah, go click on the link below. Leave a comment if you've already read it. Leave a comment if you know someone who you'd like to be on this podcast. Give me their LinkedIn profile. I'll go get them. We'll get them on the prod. Get them on the prod? I hope not, sir. We'll get them on the pod. Have a great week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.